Here we are going to talk about thrombosis and embolism. So the etiology is completely different, even though the clinical scenarios are like hemiplegia or hemiparesis. What you have seen in spastic CP, you thought it is due to hypoxia and spastic hemiplegia, that is hypoxia. So the benefit of lot of second years also have joined. Let me go very basics also so that everybody can understand. Okay, today I am discussing a long case. It's called hemiplegia, that is weakness of the right upper limb and right lower limb, which has occurred in a small child suddenly. So whenever this kind of things can occur, suppose it is from the birth, you will say it is due to child did not cry at the time of birth, maybe because of hypoxia and ischemia. This is a 4-year-old child, so that means this is called stroke. So define stroke. What is stroke? So many people have a lot of definitions for stroke, but the recently accepted definition, stroke is defined in a child where he has a neurological deficit for more than 24 hours. That is the definition. The neurological deficit comes and goes within 24 hours. That is TIO, thromboangiotensin obliterans. Sometimes, some cases, you may get something like that, transient ischemic attack. But here, the stroke is defined as the neuro deficit in the body should be there for more than 24 hours, or the child dies within 1 day. Child had a trauma and died within 1 day. That is also called stroke. So, stroke definition. The stroke is mainly due to two important things. Number one, ischemia, that is due to thrombosis and embolism. Thrombosis and embolism. Thrombosis means it is getting formed, some conditions which is forming thrombosis in the blood. The thrombosis going and obstructing the small vessels in the brain, that causes the neurological deficit. Embolism means a thrombosis which is present in the heart shifted to the brain. So anything which is getting shifted is called embolism. So this both thrombosis and embolism can cause ischemia to the brain. That is etiology number one. Etiology number two is hemorrhage in the brain. For example, in the adult we say hypertension, rupture of arteries producing hemorrhage. Aneurysm, rupture of arteries producing hemorrhage. Arteriovenous malformation, rupturing, producing hemorrhage. The hemorrhage also can cause stroke. So stroke is due to maybe thrombosis and embolism, maybe hemorrhage. The hemorrhage means rupture. How thrombosis formed? Thrombosis may be the blood is flowing very slowly, or large number of RBCs are there, a lot of platelet aggregation is taking place, there is some stasis of blood in some place. So this etiology is going to be all these conditions which is going to cause stasis of blood, which is going to cause thrombosis. Can cause thrombosis. So that means we are going to discuss in the etiology what are the conditions which can cause thrombosis, which can lead to stroke in children. It may be monoparesis, it may be hemiparesis, it may be quadriparesis, it may be with cranial nerve involvement. Anything can occur in the stroke. So this thrombosis and embolism is going to be the 85% cause for stroke. And 15% cause for stroke is going to be hemorrhage. How do you differentiate that it is thrombosis or hemorrhage? This is embolism or hemorrhage. Hemorrhage is going to be sudden onset. No? Child falls, suddenly throwing convulsion, becoming unconscious, everything is very rapid. Then you have to suspect hemorrhage. Mother says, my child was playing very well yesterday. He slept nicely. Today morning he is complaining that he is not able to use the right upper limb and lower limb. He is talking, otherwise he is doing well. So anything which is not alarming, anything which is going very slow, you say thrombosis or embolism. Anything which is very rapid, with conversions, with unconsciousness, very rapid, you say it is hemorrhage. So from the history, we are going to define whether the child has got a hemorrhagic problem or has got a thrombosis or embolism problem. So this is about the basic things about stroke. Already, I have told you during the discussion of cerebral palsy, hypoxic ischemic event, 3 events I was describing, 3 events. The 3 events are, whenever there is poor blood supply, poor respiration, anaerobic respiration takes place, lactic acid production occurs, which can damage to the neurons. Second event, whenever there is anaerobic respiration, ATP production comes down, sodium and potassium pump failure, calcium influx, a lot of enzymes are developed which can destroy the neurons. Number 3, release of oxygen free radicals also can damage the neurons. These are the 3 etiologies, pathophysiology. Number 1, anaerobic respiration with lactic acid formation. Number 2, decreased ATP production, sodium and potassium pump failure, calcium influx, production of enzymes by the calcium influx leads to destruction of neurons. Number 3, release of oxygen free radicals. These are the 3 etiologies we were discussing, 3 pathophysiology we were discussing in cerebral palsy. The same pathophysiology applies for stroke and hemiplegia also. The only thing which is going to change, whether it is going to be poor blood circulation, whether it is going to be thrombosis, whether it is going to be embolism, whether it is going to be hemorrhage. Spastic hemiplegia, cerebral palsy, child did not cry, no blood circulation, no oxygen, so you developed. But now this hemiplegia, you have to find out why there is embolism, why there is thrombosis, why there is hemorrhage. So our fellow Satyanarayana is going to tell about the case history. We will be discussing one by one now. Start Satyanarayana. This is the basics about stroke, hemiplegia, etiology of hemiplegia. Okay, right. Yeah, slide is visible. Slide is visible, yes.
So the name of the patient is a 3-year-old child, male, and the informant is the mother, and it's reliable. So the chief complaints are weakness of the right upper and lower limb for the past 2 days.
So that means he says there is a weakness of right upper limb and lower limb. So I am dealing with the neurological system. That means I am dealing about right upper limb and lower limb is not functioning. It may be neurological. It may be metabolic also. Sometimes diarrhea, dehydration, hypokalemia, you may see weakness also. Sometimes it may be one condition called periodic paralysis of limb, hypokalemia, familial periodic paralysis of hypokalemia. So whenever I say weakness of right upper limb and lower limb, you should see whether the child has got any diarrhea, vomiting, dehydration. Is it due to decreased potassium or due to brain per se? So I can say weakness of right upper limb and lower limb, maybe due to neurological problem, maybe due to, I say, hypokalemia, maybe due to familial periodic paralysis of hypokalemia. We'll see the history now. Yeah.
So the history of presenting illness. The child was apparently normal before 2 days, after which the mother noticed that the child could not able to stand or walk properly without any support, or take or hold any object with the hands of the right side.
So, Priyadarshini.
Yes, sir.
From this history, do you feel it is an acute, rapid onset or a slightly slow insidious onset?
Sir, 2 days, so it's kind of acute only, sir.
2 days, you want to say acute. 2 days after which the mother noticed the child could. Your child did not complain. Mother noticed.
Then it will be
So we can let us be moderate, Priya.
yes, yes,
Rather
sir.
than saying acute, shall we say subacute?
Yes, sir.
We cannot say chronic, as you said, because chronic means takes 10 days, 11 days, 14 days. But it's not within 24 hours. And not a major complaint from the child. Mother has noticed, see the point, noticed. So let me take it as a subacute etiology. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So from this history, Priya, what I am ruling out the etiology.
So, chronic because of any ischemia, thrombosis, or embolism you're ruling.
So you are ruling out what? You are ruling out what? Acute onset is not there. Convulsion is not there. Unconsciousness is not there. Come on, Priya.
So, I'm sorry, sir, I couldn't hear you.
This is a 2-day event.
Yes, sir.
Do you think hemorrhage is possibility here?
Hemorrhage, no, sir. Hemorrhage would be a sudden onset.
That is the question I am asking. We
Okay.
are ruling out hemorrhage. Hemorrhage may be two parts: intraaxial, extraaxial. Intraaxial, extraaxial. Intraaxial means intracerebral hemorrhage, ventricular hemorrhage. Extraaxial, subdural hemorrhage, extradural hemorrhage, subarachnoid hemorrhage. So intraaxial, extraaxial, both you can say. Okay, both can produce loss of consciousness. Both can produce convulsion. Yes, only CT is going to show you the difference. Okay. So Priya, you say that hemorrhage is not the possibility. Maybe a thrombosis and embolism may be the possibility, right?
Yes, sir.
So Satyanarayana says there is weakness. Child could not able to stand or walk without support. He is asking the mother to take to the other area. Let him continue. Yeah. Satyanarayana.
Yes, sir. No history of inability to speak. No history of fever.
Yeah.
No history of confusion or disorientation.
Okay.
No history of any bleeding tendencies. No
Yeah.
history of breathlessness and fatigability.
Yeah.
And no history of trauma. And the trauma is
Trauma.
to
So now, please all of you note it down. I am going to give you the etiology, and we will compare this history with the etiology. Okay. So stroke or embolism or hemorrhage or thrombosis can occur by following 7 etiologies. First, number 1, any cardiovascular problem can cause all the 3. Any cardiovascular problem. You can divide like congenital heart disease, acquired heart disease. In congenital heart disease, mitral stenosis, ventricular septal defect, atrial septal defect, mitral valve collapse syndrome can cause thrombosis and embolism. Acquired heart disease, rheumatic heart disease, infective endocarditis, arrhythmias, cardiomyopathies, all these things. Cardiomyopathy, what will happen? The left ventricular ejection has come down. So, slow pumping of blood. So, blood goes slowly. Thrombosis can form. So, number 1 etiology, I have to rule out whether there is any cardiac problem in this child. That's why Satyanarayana said, no history of breathlessness. This no history of breathlessness indirectly says that cardiac and lung system is normal. So cardiac problem, congenital heart disease also can cause. Acquired heart disease also can cause. Next, number 2, hematological problem. In hematological problem, anemia, especially sickle cell anemia or any hemoglobinopathies can cause thrombosis. Or polycythemia, increased RBCs, can also cause thrombosis. Or some of the coagulation deficiencies, which can cause bleeding. Protein C deficiency, protein S deficiency, antithrombin 3 deficiency, factor 5 deficiency. They can cause bleeding. So that means in hematological problem, anemia like sickle cell anemia, hemoglobinopathy can cause. Polycythemia can cause thrombosis. Thrombocytosis, increased platelets can cause thrombosis. Overall cause bleeding, thrombocytopenia, protein C deficiency, protein S deficiency, factor V deficiency, antithrombin deficiency. These deficiencies, don't forget disseminated intravascular coagulation, where we have a fever with sepsis and goes for DIBC, can cause bleeding. This is etiology number 2. Etiology number 3, infection. Is there any meningitis, bacterial, tuberculosis, viral? Is there any encephalitis? Here, no history of fever, no history of convulsion, no history shown as neck stiffness or something. That means meningitis, encephalitis can be ruled out. Etiology number 4, can it be due to autoimmune disease, systemic lupus erythematosus, connective tissue disorders? All can cause thrombosis and embolism, not bleeding, thrombosis and embolism, autoimmune disease. There is no history of fever, rash, joint pain, arthralgia, microscopic hematuria, renal involvement, nothing is there. So autoimmune etiology, very unlikely. Can it be a metabolic disorder? Some metabolic disorder can present like a stroke, homocystinuria, ornithine transcarbamylase deficiency, OTC, pseudoxanthoma, fibrous dysplasia, pseudoxanthoma elastica, metabolic disorders, MELAS, MELAS. What is MELAS? M, mitochondrial, E, epilepsy, L, lactic acid, A, acidosis, S, seizures. MELAS, MELAS, MELAS. M, mitochondrial disorder, or you can say myoclonic jerks, E, epilepsy, L, lactic acid, A, acidosis, E again. All this can cause stroke, metabolic disorders. Is there any previous sibling died without any cause like this? Is there any family history of any metabolic disorders like this? Ruled out. Can it be vascular? Yes, chances are there. AV malformation, Berry aneurysm, migraine producing rupture of vessels, Moyo disease, dissecting aneurysm, Behet syndrome, vascular. Can it be trauma? Yes, head injury can produce intraventricular hemorrhage, intracerebral hemorrhage, periventricular hemorrhage, subarachnoid hemorrhage, extradural hemorrhage, subdural hemorrhage. Yes. So I have narrated now cardiac causes, hematological causes, infection causes, autoimmune causes, metabolic causes, vascular causes, trauma causes. Okay. Now I am going to each one of you. Dr. Lakshita. Okay, 84, Aishwarya. 84. So each one of you is going to rule out. See, most of them just switch on பண்ணிட்டு போயிடுறாங்கப்பா சத்யநாராயணன். நம்ம கூப்பிட்டா ரெஸ்பாண்ட் பண்ணலன்னா அதான் இருக்கும். இதுதான் உங்களுக்கு கிளாஸ் எடுக்கிறதுக்கே போர் அடி. Switch on the video, all the fine years. Riha? இல்ல அதாவது ஒரு கொஸ்டின் கேட்டா எனக்கு எஸ்ன்னு தெரியணும் இல்லாட்டி தெரியலன்னு சொல்லணும். அப்படியே ஊமை மாதிரி உட்கார்ந்துட்டு இருந்தா என்ன அர்த்தம்? I am calling by name. Who is Aishwarya 084?
அவங்க ப்ரீஃபைனல் இயர்ஸ்
அன்மியூட் பண்ண முடியாதா?
இல்ல பாருங்க.
யார் அந்த ரியானா? யாரு ரியானா? ப்ரீ ஃபைனல் இயரா உங்க இதுவா? Tell me why it is not cardiac cause?
Because there's no history of breathlessness or fatigability.
So cyanosis or illa.
Sinus.
Okay. Ria, tell me why it is not. Can it be hematological cause?
hematological, there's no bleeding tendency or fatigability.
Fatigability, good. No history of fatigability. Okay. No history of fatigability. No history of bleeding tendencies. Okay. Okay, right. 153, Priyadarshini. Can it be due to infection? Meningitis and
No, sir, there's no neck stiffness or any head involvement in encephalitis.
எதுவும் கிடையாது. Okay.
Yes, sir.
077. Can it be an autoimmune disease?
Sir, no, sir.
Why? Why it is not?
Sir, family history.
Harish.
Sir, yes, sir. No family history, sir.
Autoimmune family history, அப்புறம் rash இல்ல, arthralgia இல்ல, joint pain இல்ல, fever இல்ல, renal involvement இல்ல. Okay. 087, Jarbala, 087.
Yes, sir.
Can it be a metabolic disorder? Homocystinuria, malaise? Maybe, but previous sibling history is not there. So we have to rule out everything one by one. Okay. Satyanarayana, can it be a vascular? Can it be a vascular etiology?
There are possibilities. Can be.
Because see, from the history, doesn't look like cardiac, doesn't look like hematological, doesn't look like infection, doesn't look like autoimmune, doesn't look like metabolic. No history of trauma. What is pending now? Vascular. It could be a berry aneurysm, it could be a AV malformation, it could be a Maya-Moya disease, it could be a Behet syndrome, it could be a Takayasu arthritis, pulseless disease. So that means, it could be a coarctation of aorta also. So that means there are some problem in the vessel that is inducing thrombosis or embolism and causing this. Priya told in the beginning that it is not the case of hemorrhage because 2 days, slow onset, mother noticed, child was not much complaining, no convulsion, no headache, no vomiting, no alarming sign and symptom in the first 24 to 48 hours. That means I am not thinking in terms of hemorrhage. So I am thinking only in terms of thrombosis or embolism. That's why I have narrated all the etiology. Out of this, all the etiology, which one suits now? Oh, more or less. It could be two. One may be vascular. Another may be, I don't know, hematological. I have to test the blood and see whether child has got thrombocytosis, whether child has got thrombocytopenia, whether child has got anemia, whether child has got sickle cell anemia. But I will not think of protein C, protein S, antithrombin 3 because it doesn't look like an hemorrhage. If I think of hemorrhage, I'll think of coagulation factors, protein C, protein S deficiency, antithrombin 3, those things. Looks like a thrombosis. That means I'm thinking more in terms of thrombocytosis, more in terms of anemia, more in terms of sickle cell anemia. Something is causing thrombosis, all these things. So he says no history. And okay, so from the etiology, what Satyanarayana has given, I may come to a conclusion that I am dealing with a case of hemiplegia, which has occurred for 2 days without any headache, without any vomiting, without any fever, without any convulsion. So headache, vomiting, fever, convulsion. I am ruling out infection. I am ruling out hemorrhage. So possibility is only maybe hematological cause or maybe a vascular cause. So my investigation is going to be based on that only. You understand? So here is a case of hemiplegia, right upper limb and lower limb. Beauty is only motor is involved. He did not tell about sensory system, that there is loss of sensation, hyposthesia or hyperesthesia in the right upper limb and lower limb. He did not spend a word. He said the child is speaking well. That means speech is not affected. He said the child is seeing. That means vision is not affected. The child is hearing. Hearing is not affected. The only problem child is having a motor problem, muscular problem involving right upper limb and right lower limb. And he did not say whether right upper limb is more involved or right lower limb is more involved. that will be, when we are localizing the lesion, you can see. You can go to the next history. Satyarayana, go to the next history. So now, come back. See, you are not straight away go to antenatal history. So, this child is a 4-year-old. You are talking about the 2-day event. Then the past illness should be neonatal history up to 4 years. Why you go straight away to antenatal history?
Sir,
Okay.
After antenatal history, I go to natal and postnatal histories.
No, you are not supposed to go like that. See, when you are talking about cerebral palsy of a newborn or a young child, antenatal history is the past history. Here is a child of 4 years, he will develop problem for the 3 days only. Before 3 days, what is happening? That is past illness. Okay.
Oh, fine, sir.
So you skip the natal, now tell me the past illness.
So the postnatal histories,
Don't say postnatal history, history of past illness.
history of past illness.
You should be smart. You should be smart to change your terminology. Suppose I am giving a child of 7-month-old child with cerebral palsy, then you should say antenatal history as the past illness. Here the child is 4 years.
2
days of event. That means the previous 2 days of event is called past illness. It starts from the newborn period. Now you say, so I like to say about the past illness, whether the neonatal history is eventful, is there any history of any blood transfusion for anemia, is there any previous admission in the hospital, is there any bleeding tendencies previously in this child, is there any other neurological deficit occurred in the child for some time and goes back. I told you, familial periodic paralysis. அமாவாசை வரும் போயிடும், பௌர்ணமி வரும் போயிடும். ஏன் வருது ஏன் போறதுன்னு யாருக்கும் தெரியாது. It's called familial periodic paralysis. Every 3rd week வரும் சார், 2 days இருக்கும் அப்புறம் சரியாயிடும் சார். Many mothers will come and say familial periodic paralysis of hypokalemia. So you should have all those history as the past history. Whether the child was taking any drug previously, whether the neonatal history is normal, is there any evidence of birth asphyxia, whether the child was taking breastfeeding, whether complementary feeding was started properly, whether the child had proper immunization. Some neurological disorder, immunization can trigger. For example, pertussis component. After getting DPT, child may go for convulsion, paralysis, something like that. So you should ask about the history of immunization, history of injection, anything, history of trauma in the past period. Any other sibling in the family got similar illness. How was the child? Whether the child is going to the Balwadi, whether the child was speaking properly so far. Is there any other event which caused this kind of problem for the child before that? These are all called history of past illness. Okay, go to the antenatal history.
Antenatal history, sir. Fine.
Yeah.
So he was born to a 25-year-old.
Okay, anything about?
No, sir. Everything is normal.
Everything is normal. Natal history?
Natal history is also normal. Birth weight is also normal.
3.5 kg, more than 2.5 kg. This is also good, right? Postnatal history?
Immediate postnatal and neonatal period were uneventful. No history of admission in NICU, and breastfeeding was initiated within an hour and was an exclusively breastfed with 6 months.
இப்போ நம்ம எப்படி ஹிஸ்டரி ஆஃப் பிரசன்ட் இல்லஸ்க்கு அந்த 7 ஈட்டியாலஜி சொன்னோமோ அதே மாதிரி ஹிஸ்டரி ஆஃப் பாஸ்ட் இல்லஸ்க்கு சொல்லணும். என்ன சொல்லணும்? History of past illness, newborn period is unfit, uneventful. There was no any episode of cyanosis. நம்ம congenital disease சொல்லியிருக்கோம் இல்லையா, ஸ்ட்ரோக்குக்கு. There was no history of any cyanosis. Child was feeding well. There was no history of any previous bleeding. எதுக்கு? Thrombocytopenia, coagulation factor deficiency. There was no history of any bleeding tendencies. There was no history of any drug intake. Suppose child is going on taking aspirin for some disease. Child is taking heparin for some disease. Heparin can cause bleed. Aspirin can prevent thrombosis but can present bleed. So you should ask, is there any history of drug intake previously? Is there any hospitalization previously, child? அதே மாதிரி நம்ம மெட்டபாலிக் டிசார்டர் சொல்றோம், அதையும் கேட்கணும். Is there any metabolic disorder in the family, in the sibling? இது unknown death in the previous sibling இருக்கு, இது primary child, so அதெல்லாம் இருக்காது. So இது எல்லாமே நம்ம history of past illnessல நம்ம கேட்கணும், right?
Fine, sir. Next is the developmental history.
Yeah.
Grounds motor, the child is able to ride bicycle, alternate feet going up pace. The language he asks questions and knows the full name and gender. Still adapted to social child was
Okay.
saying that schools full name and gender, and the
Okay.
hearing is not. So the developmental history is doesn't have any delayed developmental milestone. So I think it's correct.
So everything looks normal in this child. Yeah. Till the
Yes,
disease, child was riding bicycle, he was able to walk, he is able to talk to the parents, he is able to identify whether you are a male or female. All developmental milestones are normal. That is an important history because in metabolic disorders, homocystinuria, Fabry's disease, pseudoxanthoma elasticum, MELAS, you may have a delayed motor milestone. Something will be there. Now you say beautifully all the motor milestones are normal. That means I am ruling out the metabolic disorder also. So cardiac disorder I have ruled out. You are going to examine and say cardiovascular system is going to be normal. Okay. Okay. Go to the next slide. Go to the next slide.
Immunization is the he's
So don't
immunized up
stop.
to date.
Don't stop with that. Fully immunized up to 3 years. No history of any recent vaccination. Who knows? COVID vaccination can produce hemiplegia. Many.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Who is that? Merlin. 126. Merlin,
Yes, sir.
why you say, oh my God?
No, sir, I was thinking now we have to start taking history with COVID also in regard.
See, these are all rare events, Merlin. Don't get negative feeling. You should have COVID vaccination. Why I am saying this? See, பைக்ல எல்லாரும் போறோம், ஒரு ஆக்சிடென்ட் நடக்குது, பைக்ல போகாம இருக்கோமா? ஃபிளைட்ல எல்லாரும் போறோம், ஆக்சிடென்ட் நடக்குது, ஃபிளைட்ல போகாம இருக்கோமா? கல்யாணம் பண்ணிக்கிட்டு சண்டை வரும், கல்யாணம் பண்ணிக்காம இருக்கோமா? இதெல்லாம் வந்து நார்மலா வாழ்க்கையில நடக்கிறது. மெர்லின், நீங்க ஹோம் மை காட் அப்படின்னு உடனே நான் ஒரு மாதிரி எனக்கு தூக்கி வாரி போட்டுச்சு. Who is that Merlin? I want to see your video. Merlin, come in video. Dr. Merlin, don't worry. You should have vaccination, right? These are all rare events. Rare events. But DPT vaccine can produce hypotonia areflexia syndrome. DPT போடாம இருக்கோமா? அது வந்து 10 லட்சத்துல ஒரு பாப்பா. அது கண்டிப்பா நீ இருக்கணும் நான் இருக்கணும்ன்ற அவசியம் இல்லை. ஓகே மெர்லின், convinced? You can unmute and talk.
Oh, yes, sir.
Don't get afraid. Okay, why I am saying this? Rabies vaccination, encephalitis vaccinations can produce some neurological damage that we have seen in many cases. And any neurological cases you are presenting, we should talk about is there any history of recent vaccination. Okay. Okay, Merlin. Right. What I am trying to say is, when you say fully immunization, also always say there was no history of any recent immunization. Okay, right.
The past history is no history of any similar episode in the past years. Treatment history, no history of any medication intake. Family history, non-consanguineous marriage. No history of similar illness in any other family members. Now going to the general examination.
Yeah.
The child is conscious and active. Child was oriented to time, place, and person. The orientation is really good. And mild pallor is seen actually. No non-icteric, no cyanosis, no clubbing, no generalized lymphadenopathy, no pedal edema, no new cutaneous markers are also seen.
What is neurocutaneous marker for the benefit of second years and pre-final years? You can see a lot of, you have seen port vein chain hemangioma. You can see butterfly-like lesion in SLE. You can see Capello spots as a brownish color discoloration of the skin. More than 6 in numbers is very significant. You can see gundu gunda neurofibromatosis. So Kaplan-Meier spot, neurofibromatosis, port wine stain, hemangioma, these are all called neurocutaneous markers. Okay, sometimes you may see in tuberous sclerosis also, actually leaf-like macules. So these are all called neuro. So whenever you see a neurocutaneous marker, you think, am I dealing with a neurological disorder? It may be normal also. Some child can have only port wine stain hemangioma, but he will not have any nerve problem. Sometimes can have Stooge-Weber syndrome, convulsion with the hemangioma. Some child can have multiple Kaplan-Meier spots, brown color discoloration of the skin, but that is not producing any problem. Some will have neurofibromatosis, looks very ugly, but doesn't got any neurological problem. But when you say neurocutaneous markers, what are all the neurocutaneous markers? Kaplan-Meier spot, port wine stain, tuberous sclerosis, something, ash leaf macules, neurofibromatosis. These are all called neurocutaneous markers. And from the general examination, go to the previous slide. He said higher functions are normal. Whenever the higher functions are normal, not disoriented, memory is intact, frontal lobe is intact. That means he is ruling out anterior cerebral artery. So this is called neuroanatomical syndrome. Examiners may ask you, what is neuroanatomical syndrome? You all know, you would have studied middle cerebral artery, anterior cerebral artery, posterior cerebral artery, vertebropatellar artery. There are 4 arteries you should remind in stroke. Middle cerebral artery, anterior cerebral artery, posterior cerebral artery, vertebropatellar artery. Each artery has got a unique clinical presentation that I will be discussing when he talks about clinical presentation. He said child was oriented to time, place, and person. Their function is excellent. That means frontal lobe is not that much involved. That means frontal lobe is involved means you may have a aphasia. You may have disinhibition. You may have a memory loss. But it is not there. That means anterior cerebral artery nalla irukku artham. Invariably, most of the stroke they say it is due to posterior cerebral artery only, the middle cerebral artery only. Okay. Now go to the examination. Go to the examination.
Yes, sir. The vitals,
Vitals,
right side is
everything is normal. No, leave it. Everything is normal means leave it. BP is normal.
Yes, sir.
Let's say acute event, just leave it. Go to the CNS examination.
The side is not changing actually.
Not moving.
Yes, sir. Give me a minute, I'll try.
Yeah. Yeah, அப்பப்போ left the meeting வருது. அது உண்மையிலே லெஃப்டா இல்ல டெக்னிக்கல் ப்ராப்ளமா?
Yes, sir.
இல்லடா, ஒன்ன சொல்லல.
Acha.
You are seeing your video, but அப்பப்போ கீழ வருது. Yes, left the meeting, yes, left the meeting.
இல்ல sir, MMC admin. Sorry, MMC admin account 2 people are.
Number 113 தான் இருக்கு. Number is not changing, but இங்க மட்டும் left the meeting, அப்புறம் join the meeting, left the meeting, join the meeting வருது.
Actually, Sharath, the boys rep is also using the same account, so maybe it must be him.
Okay. Right, go on. Anthropometry is fine. Leave it, it is fine. Leave it, everything looks normal. Yeah.
The boy's alert is active. He's looking at the examiner, responding to the verbal comments. Cranial examination.
Yes. Yes.
Cranial examination.
Cranial.
Findings in both. Yes, sir. Cranial one.
The slide.
Yeah.
Satyana, slide மாறி இருக்கு. Cranial examination slide வரல. அது வந்து ஒரு பெனிஃபிட் ஆகும். நிறைய செகண்ட் இயர்ஸ் இருக்காங்க, அதனால அவங்களுக்கு
Yes, sir.
தெரியட்டும். யா புட் இட். யா நோ cranial nerve. Put the cranial nerve. All second years watch here. All second years. Likita, your batch has joined. Likita,
Yes, sir. Everyone has joined.
this is cranial nerve examinations for you people, for second years to understand. என்னாச்சு ஏன் மூவ் ஆக மாட்டேங்குது?
தெரியல சார், என்னன்னு தெரியல. நான் மூவ் பண்ணிட்டேன், எனக்கு இங்க கரெக்டா வருது, பட் அங்க வர மாட்டேங்குது.
நான் எங்களுக்கு தெரியலையே. அடுத்தது போ. யா ஸ்டாப். யா. So tell me the cranial nerve.
Cranial nerve 1, the finding could not be elicited.
Okay.
Cranial 2, vision could recognize parents' changes, pupil round, regular and reactive.
So cranial nerve 2 always says that whether the vision is fine, whether the child is able to recognize the parents. The vision is not fine, எப்படி கண்டுபிடிக்கலாம்? Child will be rolling on his head, searching for the something. You can see the eye movement, rapid eye movements. All these things shows the child is not able to visualize. Here the child is able to visualize, that means cranial nerve 2 optic nerve is fine. 3, 4 and 6 are clubbed together for ocular movements. Whether ocular movement is abnormal, Satyanarayana?
Sir, the ocular movement is able to follow the object in all direction. Both in direct and indirect light reflexes are present, so it's actually normal.
So that means the child has got a beautiful eye movement. When I move my finger like this, the child follows my finger. When I move up, the child goes up. When I goes down, the child goes down. That means the lateral movement, medial movement, upward movement, downward movement, all are fine. That means your third, that is the oculomotor. The fourth, the trochlea. Sorry, what is fourth? Trochlea only.
Right.
Then abducent. All these nerves are excellent. They are doing well. So 3, 4, 6 is fine. Then cranial nerve 7.
5 mastication normal, corneal reflex present, sensory intact. So
Yes.
facial
All the second years, please take this. What he has put take this slide as a snapshot. Yes, then.
cranial 7, face is normal, no deviation of the angle of the mouth, nasolabial folds present on both sides, no drooping of saliva, and facial expressions are good.
Yes.
Present.
That means there is no deviation of angle of mouth. There is no nasolabial fold is normal. The child is able to wrinkle above and down. And cranial nerve palsy, 7th nerve, when you see it is upper motor or lower motor. How do you differentiate lower motor neuron lesion? Satyanarayana. Bell's palsy. Bell's palsy.
There will be
Lower motor neuron, the whole face will be involved. Upper motor neuron, only the lower part is involved. Lower motor neuron, the child cannot be able to wrinkle. You cannot shrink the forehead. You cannot wrinkle the forehead in Bell's palsy. In upper motor neuron lesions, it's not like this. Only angle of mouth deviation, something like that, right? Then 8, hearing is there. Okay. 9 and 10.
No pooling of secretions, no nasal degradation, gag reflex not tested actually.
Child is
11th,
able to swallow. Child is able to swallow. No pooling of secretions. No drooling of saliva. That means the palatal movements are normal. No drooling of saliva. No pooling of secretions. Movement of the palate is normal. Deglutition is normal. That means 8, 9 and 10 is fine, right?
it's 11.
11th now we don't test usually. That is a shrugging of shoulder which we don't test. 12th now deviation of them. So all second years you find out the first nerve we are not testing. Second nerve is about testing the vision. 3, 4, 6 about testing the ocular movement. 5 is testing about mastication. 7 is testing about facial asymmetry. 8 is testing about hearing. 9, 10 is testing about pooling of secretion, drooling of saliva, movement of palate, deglutition, everything. 11 we are not testing, and 12 is the deviation of angle of mouth. These are all called cranial nerve examinations in any CNS cases, right?
So in this case, cranial nerves are intact. So we'll go to the motor system examination.
Okay.
First, bulk in upper arm, in upper limb, right side no wasting is seen, left side also no wasting of muscles is seen. lower limbs also there are no wasting muscles missing on both sides. The tone in inspection in upper limbs, the right side is stiff, the left side is normal. In lower limbs, the right side is stiff, and the left side is normal.
Satyanarayana,
Yes, sir.
Satya, which is more involved, right upper limb or right lower limb? I have not given, you tell.
Usually, right upper limb will be more involved than lower limb.
Whenever the hemiplegia is there, when we have to see whether both limbs are, he will say in power. Okay, you go to the power.
Sir, palpation spastic, sir. Right upper limb and lower limb.
Okay, what is the grade? 3, 4, 3 by 5 or 4 by 5? How do you grade the muscles power? Grading of muscles.
In upper limb it is 2 by 5 and lower limb it is 3 by 5 in the right side.
So
Left side
for the benefit of second years, grade
Yes,
1,
sir.
grade 2, grade 3, grade 4, grade 5. What is this? Ilya? Grade 1.
5 is
Okay.
full power and grade 4 by
Okay.
5 is grade 4 by 5 is what is it?
Getting confused.
You can do the
No, I will tell very clearly. Okay. Grade 5 is normal power. This is for the benefit of pre-final years and second years. Grade 5 is normal power. Grade 4, okay power against resistance. Grade 3 is against gravity. Grade 2 is when the gravity is not there. Grade 1 is there, flickering of contraction. Grade 0 is complete paralysis. So complete paralysis, flickering of contraction, against gravity, against resistance, normal power. This is what the grading of that. Here Satyanarayana says, on the right side, he said the upper limb is 2 by 5. That means the baby has got flickering of contraction. Against gravity is trying, but not against resistance. But lower limb is better compared to the upper limb. So he says upper limb is worst affected compared to the lower limb. Why you say 4 by 5 on the left side, Satyanarayana?
4 by 5 is normal only, sir. 4 by 5 was normal cases period.
It is not normal. 5 is normal. 4 by 5 is not normal. So you should explain to the examiners because of the weakness of the right upper limb and lower limb, child could have moved the lower limb left side very well, but not to the normal extent. Because of the ear weakness, the child has to compensate. So your 4 by 5 is fine. So whenever the upper limb is more involved, I think it is more in favor of middle cerebral artery. When the lower limb is more involved, it is more in favor of anterior cerebral artery. Now he is thinking middle cerebral artery may be the culprit. Okay, right, go on. Reflexes.
Yes, sir. Reflexes, superficial reflexes, conjunctival reflex, in case left is normal, right is normal, abdominal reflex is normal, plantar reflex, in the left side it is flexor and right side it is extensor.
Okay.
Deep dynamic reflexes, in the left side it is normal, in the right side it is exaggerated.
Okay. Go on.
Sensory system examination, the spinal thalamic tract, the whole sensory system is intact, sir. There's nothing significant.
See the second years, see how nicely Satyanarayana put this slide, very nicely. Spinothalamic tract, posterior column, fine touch vibration. Even though we are not testing, but these are all very nice presentation. How sensory system should be depicted in the slides. Good.
So next is cortical sensation, graphesthesia, stereognosis normal.
அதெல்லாம் ரொம்ப ஓவர், அதெல்லாம் நாங்க சில்ட்ரன்ல பண்ணவே மாட்டோம். சரி.
Cerebellum signs speed, skull and spine, no deformities, tenderness. Gait, it is hemiplegic gait, toe first circumdentation, broad base, and upper limb are flexed.
Beautiful. So how the child walks, just imagine. Flex பண்ணிட்டு அப்படியே ஒரு semicircle. Child is dragging the right lower limb like a semicircle. That's called circumduction. Circumduction with the flexor of the upper limb. with tiptoe walking. Excellently told. It is a case of hemiplegia. Yes.
Other system examination, CVS is the word one sounds as normal vesicular system. So that diagnosis is 3-year-old boy with right-sided hemiparesis as a complication of stroke, which is probably maybe due to any vascular.
Wait. Priya, 153. Priya,
Yes, sir.
come in the video. Tell me, he has said a case of right-sided hemiparesis.
Yes.
What would be the cause? Where is the problem? Which artery? I told you 4 arteries: middle cerebral, anterior-cerebral, posterior-cerebral, vestibular bacillary. Now you explain to me whether it's due to hemorrhage or thrombosis. If at all thrombosis, where is it? Location.
Sir, it is a case of thrombosis, and because the upper limb is involved more, it will be a middle cerebral artery involvement.
So you want to say, since upper limb is more involved, it's more of middle cerebral artery, and you say since the child is a subacute onset, more in favor of thrombosis. Still, we have not found out whether it is vascular or hematological, because we have to investigate and see, right?
Yes, sir.
So you are right. So this is a child with thrombosis going for right hemiparesis. Excellent. And this thrombosis, why it is there, we don't know. We are going to investigate. Where is there? Where is the thrombosis? She says, since the right upper limb. That means, what are all the clinical features for middle cerebral artery? Number 1, there is a contralateral hemiparesis, contralateral hyposthesia, ipsilateral homoanapsia, hemihomoanapsia, contralateral hemiparesis, contralateral hyposthesia, ipsilateral homoanapsia. There may be receptive or expressive aphasia if the dominant hemisphere is involved. That is point number 4. There may be receptive or expressive aphasia if the dominant hemisphere. Suppose the child is right-handed. The lesion, he says the child is right hemiparesis. Where is the hemisphere then? It must be left. Okay. So we don't know whether the child is right-handed or left-handed. Suppose the child is right-handed, then the dominant hemisphere is left. That means the child should have a loss of speech. So we can say this child is left-handed, something like that. So a dominant hemisphere is involved, you get receptive or expressive aphasia, ipsilateral hemianapsia, contralateral hemiparesis, contralateral hyposthesia. This is very typical of middle cerebral artery with cranial nerve involvement. If it is anterior cerebral artery, I already told you, frontal lobe will be involved. So disinhibition. What is disinhibition? Suppose I am giving a kick like this, and you are protecting. That is, you know what I am going to do. Disinhibition means you cannot control. You just go and hit. If I am Riya பார்த்து மூஞ்சில அப்படி குத்துறேன், கிட்ட வந்து அப்படி பயமுறுத்துறேன். எனக்கு frontal lobe போச்சுனா நான் மூஞ்சில குத்திடுவேன். I cannot control. இதான் disinhibition. So disinhibition will be lost, memory will be lost, recent and final memory will be lost, and all these problems will be there. And lower limb is more involved than upper limb. எதுல? Anterior cerebral artery. Posterior cerebral artery, vision is intact, blindness, visual agnosia, visual problem, இதெல்லாம் posterior cerebral artery இருக்கும். Vertebropatellar artery, cerebral involved இருக்கும், எல்லா சிஸ்டமும் குழப்பமா இருக்கும். cortex involved ஆகும், cerebral involved ஆகும், medulla involved ஆகும், vermis involved ஆகும், எல்லா different pictures இருக்கும் vertebropatellar artery. So அப்ப லொகேஷன் பாத்தீங்கன்னா இது vertebropatellar artery மாதிரி இல்ல. விஷன் நல்லா இருக்குதுனால posterior cerebral artery இல்ல. disinhibition, memory எல்லாம் நல்லா பேசுறான், நல்லா ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கிறான். frontal anterior cerebral artery இல்ல. அப்ப I am fixing the thrombosis or embolism or hemorrhage in middle cerebral artery. So this is a case of right hemiplegia, probably because of the subacute onset, maybe a thrombosis that is present in the middle cerebral artery. Purida, Satina, how you have to rule out each and every one from the clinical history. But நம்ம clinical history etiology பார்த்தோம். இப்ப cardiovascular system. So I am going to rule out cardiovascular system by seeing echocardiogram. Echo is normal. Then I am going to do hematological system assessment. Investigation. போட்டுக்கார் பாருங்க. hematological போட்டுக்கார் பாருங்க. என்ன போட்டுக்காரு? coagulation profile, D-dimer, protein C, protein S, antithrombin 3. முக்கியமான என்ன போடணும் நீ? peripheral smear. சிக்கல் செல் அனிமியா பெரிஃபரல் ஸ்மியர்ல பிடிச்சிடலாம் இல்லையா?
Yes,
So
sir.
peripheral smear, then hemoglobin, anemia இருக்கா? leukemia, peripheral blood cells இருந்தாலும் வரும் leukemia, sickle cell anemia, thrombocytosis, excess platelet, thrombocytopenia, decreased platelet. அப்போ blood investigationல நம்ம hemoglobin பார்க்கணும், PCV பார்க்கணும், polycythemia பார்க்கணும், peripheral smear பார்க்கணும், sickling இருக்கா, blood cells இருக்கா, toxic granules, DAVC, toxic granules இருக்கும். அப்புறம் பிடி ஏபிடிடி ப்ரொலாங்டா இருந்தா டிஏவிசி, ஐஎன்ஆர் மோர் தென் 1.7 இருந்தா டிஏவிசி. ஸோ பிளட் கம்ப்ளீட் இன்வெஸ்டிகேஷன். இதெல்லாம் எனக்கு தெரியல, கோயகுலேஷன் மாதிரி இருக்கு, ப்ளீட் ஆகுதுன்னா புரோட்டீன் சி, புரோட்டீன் எஸ், ஆன்டித்ராம்பன் 3. ஓகே, சிஎன்எஸ் லம்பார் பங்க்சர் பண்ணணுமா? தேவையில்லை. ஃபீவர் இல்ல, நெக் ஸ்டிஃப்னஸ் இல்ல, மெனிஞ்சைட்டிஸ் மாதிரி இல்ல, இன்ஃபெக்டிவ் ஈட்டியாலஜி இல்ல, அதனால சிஎன்எஸ் மாதிரி தெரியல. ஆட்டோ இம்யூன் இருக்கலாமா? இருக்கலாம், ஆனா இதுல ஹிஸ்டரி எதுவும் இல்ல. பட் டூ சிஆர்பி, டூ இஎஸ்ஆர், whether the CRP and ESR is really high. That is a initial opening gate for autoimmune. ESR ரொம்ப CRP அதிகமா என்னமா? யா
ஏன் ஆன்டி நியூக்ளியர் ஆன்டிபாடி டெஸ்ட்?
அது CRP ESR அதிகமா இருந்தா ANA க்கு போலாம், ஆன்டி நியூக்ளியர் ஆன்டிபாடி. இப்ப ஃபீவர் இருக்கு, ரேஷ் இருக்கு, ஆத்ரால்ஜியா இருக்கு, some skin rashes இருக்கு, SLE மாதிரி இருக்கு, அப்ப you should do basic investigations are CRP and ESR. so அதுவும் பண்ணிடலாம். மெட்டபாலிக் நம்ம ஒன்றும் பண்ண முடியாது, அதை நம்ம டயக்னோஸ் பண்ண நம்ம IEM, அதாவது டேண்டம் மாஸ் ஸ்பெக்ட்ரோமெட்ரி, TMS, டேண்டம் மாஸ் ஸ்பெக்ட்ரோமெட்ரி, மெட்டபாலிக் ரூல் அவுட் பண்ணணும்னா. இப்போ வாஸ்குலர் ரூல் அவுட் பண்ணணும், என்ன பண்ணலாம்?
லோக்கலைஸ்
MRI, CT angiogram, MRI, CT, CT angiogram may help. Okay, so he has given all the beautiful tests there here. See, MRI, MRA, CT scan, ANA testing for autoimmune, screening for cardiovascular, lipid profile you want to rule out for metabolic disorders, coagulation profile you want to rule out for bleeding, D-dimer you want to iron profile to rule out anemia. So he has brought out whatever the etiology I told you: cardiac complication, hematological complication, infective complication, metabolic complication, autoimmune complication, vascular complication, trauma. The etiology Araga he has brought in the investigations. Okay, go to the next slide. So how do you treat now?
You have to treat according to the etiology.
Treat the cause. You treat the cause, right? Okay.
Slide all on, sir.
Slide over. Now you can come to the video. Take out the slide here. Take out the slide. You can come to the video now. So last 10 minutes, I'll give you how to treat. How to treat. No cinema போடுறான் பயங்கரமா.
Yes, sir.
So how to treat? See, treatment is very important because here is a child. உங்களுக்கு எல்லாரும் ஞாபகம் இருக்கும், செரிப்ரல் பால்சிக்கு நான் உங்களுக்கு ஒன்று சொன்னேன். என்ன சொன்னேன்? தெரபுட்டிக் கூலிங். 6 மணி நேரத்துக்கு முன்னாடி வந்த சில்லுன்னு ஐஸ் பேக்கை வச்ச நியூரானல் டேமேஜை குறைக்கலாம்னு சொன்னேன். எஸ் ஆர் நோ? Similarly, for stroke also, the international guidelines, the American Stroke Association, ASA, the American Stroke Association has given a guideline. In the stroke வந்த ஒரு பாப்பா 4.5 ஹவர்ஸ்க்கு முன்னாடி வந்தா, 4.5 ஹவர்ஸ்க்கு முன்னாடி வந்தா, there is some treatment. Otherwise it is supportive treatment. So what are the treatments we can plan? So நம்மளுடைய பிளான் என்ன? thrombosis and embolism. இப்போ thrombosis embolism நம்ம கரைக்கணும். எப்படி கரைக்கலாம்? Number 1, anticoagulant யூஸ் பண்ணலாமா? First, anticoagulant. Heparin. Heparin is one of the very good drug. Now low molecular weight heparin also has come. நம்ம மெர்லின் வந்து அவருக்கு சொல்றேன், நான் ஹெப்பாரின் வந்து நிறைய கோவிடுக்கெல்லாம் கொடுக்குறாங்க, த்ராம்போசிஸ் வரக்கூடாதுன்ட்டு. என்ன, ஸோ ஹெப்பாரின் யூஸ் பண்ணலாமா? இந்த ஹெப்பாரின் அடல்ட்ல யூஸ் பண்றாங்க, சில்ட்ரன்ல மெனி ஸ்டடிஸ் ஹஸ் நாட் பீன் வேலிடேட்டட். அதனால ஹெப்பாரின் யூசேஜ் இன் சில்ட்ரன் இஸ் ஆல்மோஸ்ட் நில். இப்போ நான் வந்து 2000 கோவிட் பேபிஸ் பார்த்தேன், அதில் டைமர்லாம் அதிகமாக இருந்துச்சு. ஆனால் நான் ஹெப்பாரின் கொடுக்கல. ஏன்னா ஹெப்பாரின் கொடுக்கும்போது இன்னொரு விஷயத்தையும் யோசிக்கணும். நான் வந்து ஆன்டி கோயாகுலன்ட் கொடுக்குறேன்னு சொல்லி ப்ளீடிங் அதிகமாகிடக்கூடாது. That is also a problem. So heparin not. So what is the best drug? Thrombolytic. Thrombolytic. It is called RTPA, recombinant tissue plasminogen activator. Small r, small t, hyphen PA. recombinant tissue plasminogen activator. This is the drug, wonder drug. Now the stroke association is found. In the drug, நீங்க வந்து ஒரு 4.5 hours முன்னாடி குழந்தை வந்துச்சுன்னா கொடுத்தீங்கன்னா அது என்ன பண்ணுது? இது இஸ் கால் த்ராம்போலைட்டிக். அந்த த்ராம்பஸை லைஸ் பண்ணிடும், பிளட் சப்ளை இம்ப்ரூவ் ஆயிடும், ஸ்ட்ரோக் இம்ப்ரூவ் ஆயிடும். ஆனா அவன் என்ன சொல்றான், இந்த ஆர்டிபிஏ ரீகாம்பினன்ட் டிஷ்யூ பிளாஸ்மினோஜன் ஆக்டிவேட்டர் கொடுக்கறதுக்கு முன்னாடி சில பேசிக்ஸா சில இண்டிகேஷன்ஸ் பார்க்கணும். என்ன அப்படின்னா, எமரேஜ் இருந்தா கொடுக்க கூடாது. இது ஃபர்தரா எமரேஜ் அதிகப்படுத்தும். அப்ப யூ ஹேவ் டு ரூல் அவுட் இன்ட்ராசெரிப்ரல் எமரேஜ், சப்அரக்னாய்டு எமரேஜ். நம்பர் 2, ஸ்ட்ரோக் வந்து ரொம்ப சிவியரா இருக்கணும். மைல்டு ஸ்ட்ரோக்கு இதை யூஸ் பண்ணக்கூடாது. நம்பர் 3, லாஸ்ட் 3 வீக்ஸ்ல ஒரு கேஸ்ட்ரோ இன்டெஸ்டைனலோ ஒரு ஜெனட்டோ யூரினரி ப்ளீடிங் எதுவும் இருக்கக்கூடாது. அதாவது எமச்சூரியாவோ எமட்டோமைசிஸோ மெலினாவோ ப்ளீடிங் எபிசோட்ஸ் எதுவுமே இருக்கக்கூடாது. நம்பர் 4, மேஜர் சர்ஜரி எதுவும் ஒரு 3 வாரத்துல பண்ணியிருக்க கூடாது. நம்பர் 5, குளுக்கோஸ் நார்மலா இருக்கணும். நம்பர் 6, பிளேட்லெட் மோர் தென் 1 lakh இருக்கணும். நம்பர் 7, INR more than 1 less than 1.7 இருக்கணும். இதுதான் இண்டிகேஷன்ஸ் ஃபார் கிவிங் recombinant tissue plasminogen activator. I repeat again, major stroke இருந்தா தான் யூஸ் பண்ணணும். ப்ளீடிங் டெண்டன்சிஸ், சப்அரக்னாய்டு ஹெமரேஜ், இன்ட்ராசெரிப்ரல் ஹெமரேஜ் எல்லாம் இருந்தா யூஸ் பண்ண கூடாது. ப்ரீவியஸ் சர்ஜரி ஒரு 3 வாரத்துல பண்ணிருக்க கூடாது. கேஸ்ட்ரோ இன்டெஸ்டைனலோ இல்ல ஜெனட்டோ யூரினரி ப்ளீடிங் எதுவும் ஒரு 3 வீக்ஸ்ல இருக்கக்கூடாது. செரிப்ரல் ஹெமரேஜ் எதுவும் இருக்கக்கூடாது. பிளேட்லெட் மோர் தென் 1 lakh இருக்கணும். குளுக்கோஸ் நார்மலா இருக்கணும். INR less than 1.7 இருக்கணும். இதெல்லாம் இருந்தா இந்த பாப்பாக்கு 4.5 hours முன்னாடி வந்தா recombinant tissue plasminogen activator RTPA can be given. சில பாப்பாக்கு ஸ்ட்ரோக் வரும் போகும், வரும் போகும், வரும் போகும், ரெக்கரன்ட் ஸ்ட்ரோக். இந்த ரெக்கரன்ட் ஸ்ட்ரோக் 2 ஈட்டியாச்சும் மறக்க கூடாது. என்னன்னா, மாயோ டிசீஸ், மைக்ரேன் ஹெடேக். Migraine in children can cause stroke. Migraine in children can cause stroke. Recurrent stroke இருந்துச்சுன்னா என்ன பண்ணலாம்? ஆன்டி பிளேட்லெட் ஏஜென்ட்ஸ் கொடுக்கலாம். என்னது? ஆஸ்பிரின், லோ டோஸ் ஆஸ்பிரின். இப்ப நம்ம கொரோனாக்கு அதை கொடுக்குறோம், 75 mg per day கொடுக்குறோம், லோ டோஸ் ஆஸ்பிரின். ஸோ ஒன்லி 3 drugs are available. ஹெப்பாரின் யூஸ் பண்றது இல்லை. RTPA recombinant tissue plasminogen activator யூஸ் பண்றோம். Antiplatelet agents, if you suspect recurrent stroke, if there is no any bleeding, you can use aspirin. Aspirin can be utilized, low dose. Supportive measures in our stroke, first எப்படி படுக்க வைக்கணும், அது ரொம்ப important. How to make the child lie down. When the stroke is there, the child should be in the supine position. ஆனா supine position ரொம்ப நேரம் இருந்துச்சுன்னா ICT வரும். ஆனா ஒரு கான்ட்ரோவர்சி, 24 hours அப்படியே படுக்க வைக்கிறதா இல்ல அப்பப்போ சேஞ்ச் பண்ணி படுக்க வைக்கிறதா. So they say supine position for some time, then you can have reclining position, again supine position, that will improve the blood flow. Fever இருந்தா you should control, because whenever the hyperpyrexia is there, it causes neuronal damage. So fever இருந்தா control பண்ணு. Don't say hypoglycemia. Sugar low இருந்துச்சுன்னா damage further increase ஆகும். So correct hypoglycemia. இடிமா இருக்கான்னு பார்க்கணும், செரிபிரல் இடிமா. சில பாப்பாவுக்கு ப்ளீடிங் இருந்து வச்சுக்கோங்களேன், இடிமா இருக்கும். எப்படி இருக்கு இடிமா? கான்ஸ்டன்ட் ஹெட் ரோலிங், பியூபிலரி டைலட்டேஷன், நியூரலாஜிக்கல் டெபிசிட், வாமிட்டிங், ஹைப்பர் டென்ஷன், bradycardia. These are all signs of intracranial tension. கேப்பா, what are all the signs of intracranial tension? Vomiting, headache, constant head rolling, abnormal pupil, neurodeficit, bradycardia, hypertension. The 7 point இல்ல எது இருந்தாலும் you should think ICT. Intracranial tension இருந்தா mannitol or 3% normal saline போட்டு டென்ஷனை குறைக்கணும். Seizures இருந்தா phenytoin, sodium valproate போட்டு seizure control. These are called supportive measures. So what are the supportive measures you make for the stroke? Proper positioning, fever control, sugar control, cerebral edema control, seizure control. இதெல்லாம் பண்ணிட்டு then you should think of heparin, RT, recombinant tissue plasminogen activator. In recurrent stroke, think of aspirin. The Maya disease அப்படின்னா என்னன்னா இங்க வாஸ்குலர் நேரா ஆயிட்டு அப்படி பஃப் ஆஃப் ஸ்மோக் அப்பியரன்ஸ் பண்ணுவோம். சிகரெட் பிடிச்சி அப்படி புகை விட்டு எப்படி இருக்குமோ அதே மாதிரி இருக்கும். உன்னுடைய செரிபிரல் சிடி ஆஞ்சியோ எடுத்து பார்த்தேன். இந்த மாயா டிசீஸ்லாம் என்ன பண்ணுவான், வாஸ்குலர் எண்டாட்ரெக்டமி பண்ணுவோம். இப்போ கரோட்டிட் ஆர்டரியில் ஒரு த்ராம்பஸ் இருந்துச்சுன்னா கரோட்டிட் ஆர்டரெக்டமி. இங்க ஒரு த்ராம்பஸ் மாட்டிக்கிச்சுன்னா இதையும் கட் பண்ணிட்டு ஒட்ட விட்டுருக்கு. கரோட்டிட் ஆர்டரெக்டமி. இது மாதிரி rarely we do some surgeries. Invariably, the final management is going to be physiotherapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy. All this therapy is going to be there. So this is about stroke. I think Satyanarayan I presented really well because 3 a.m. he is putting the. I like it. That's the way you should read also. When I started at 6:30, I was seeing Satyanarayan is cooking. எடுத்தோடனே எனக்கு ஒரு ஷாக்கு. சார் ஆமே டீலிங் வித் சிக்கிள் செல் அனிமியான்னு ஒரு மெசேஜ் போட்டான். ஐயோ நம்ம எதையோ சொல்றோம் ஏதோ சொல்றோமே அப்படின்ட்டு. Invariably sickle cell anemia is also one of the cause for stroke. Then I told no, it is a case of stroke. அப்போ அந்த டைமிங் பார்த்தா 3:20 3:15 எல்லாம் ஸ்லைட் போட்டுட்டு இருக்கான். I'm happy that he is sleeping for the past 1.5 years and yesterday he is awake till 3:30 a.m. ரியா வந்து சாயங்காலத்துல இருந்து என்ன எப்ப கேஸ் சினேரியோ நான் பர்பஸ்லி ஐ கேவ் அரௌண்ட் 11:30. என்ன சாயங்காலம் கேஸ் சினேரியோ கொடுத்தா சாயங்காலமே முடிச்சுட்டு தூங்க போயிட்டு கிளம்பி ஜாலியா இருந்து வரீங்க. I am not a sadist, but you should have you should also see how you can put and do things. So he was preparing the slides till 3:30 a.m. Am I right, Satyanarayan? Is he sleeping?
Yes, sir.
No, he's not sleeping. He's not sleeping. So this is about stroke. Okay. So whenever you see a stroke, first etiology, thrombosis or embolism. It is very sudden, acute, rapid, பயமுறுத்துது hemorrhage. Very less, hemorrhage is less common in children. Unless and otherwise there is history of trauma. So once you know it is thrombosis embolism, and the thrombosis embolism எதுல fit in பண்றது? Cardiovascular systemலயா, hematological systemலயா, infectionலயா, autoimmuneலயா, metabolicலயா, vascular anomalyலயா, trauma. இது நம்ம ஹிஸ்டரி வச்சு கண்டுபிடிச்சோம். தென் எங்க இருக்கு அந்த thrombosis embolism? மிடில் செரிப்ரல் ஆர்டரியா, ஆன்டீரியர் செரிப்ரல் ஆர்டரியா, போஸ்டீரியர் செரிப்ரல் ஆர்டரியா, வெர்டிபிரல் பேசல் ஆர்டரியா? அதையும் கண்டுபிடிச்சாச்சு. எப்படி கண்டுபிடிக்கிறது? சிடி. வாட் இஸ் த மேனேஜ்மெண்ட்? எஸ், சப்போர்ட்டிவ் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட். ஸ்பெசிபிக் மேனேஜ்மெண்ட்ல ஒண்ணு தான், recombinant tissue plasminogen activator. And that too within 4.5 hours. That it is not very good. Okay. Yeah, I stop with this class. Pre-final year, Gautam.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you understand today's class, Gautam?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Second year, Lakshita.